Hello, everyone. I'd like to move things along by introducing our next sponsored session brought to you by FEMA, Placer, and Guest. Session titled Bridging the Data Gaps in Retail Analytics from Foot Traffic to Purchases. Please join me in welcoming our speakers, Erica Aylward with Jamestown, Jay Norris with Guest, and Ben Witten with Placer. Our facilitator for this afternoon is Karen Burns with FEMA. Karen, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction. So we've gathered on the stage to tell you about conversion. So from all the way from the moment people leave to go to a center to the point when they actually make a purchase. I've just queued a video to illustrate how that happens. And before handing over to Erica, who's going to talk a little bit about the why we've done it, the how we've done it, and what it looks like, we just wanted to do a quick video as well. So it's very clear how all of this data has been brought together from the macro level, which is from Placer, the medium level, and then all the way to the micro, which is what Guesst provides. So I'll hand over to Erica from Jamestown.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you, ICSC, for hosting us today. We're very excited to be here. So my name is Erica Aylward. I'm Vice President of Data and Consumer Research at Jamestown. For those of you who don't know Jamestown, we are a global real estate company. We're headquartered in Atlanta. We're highly known for our innovative adaptive reuse projects like Pont City Market, or if you're familiar with New York and have time to stop by, we own Chelsea Market, Pier 57 with Google, and Industry City in Brooklyn. So today we're brought here together because, just like many landlords, my team and I are using a lot of different data, whether that be external data or internal data. And really the objective for my team is to thread this data together to get a more holistic vantage point on what's happening at our retail properties. And so today, I've had the pleasure of bringing together these three great data partners of mine. Placer, which is our geospatial data platform, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, but for those who are not, they tell us everything from foot traffic data at our properties, dwell time, where our customers are coming from, where else they're going off property, and a whole host of other things, which I'm happy to talk to you about later. Then we have FIMA, on the other hand, who taps into existing surveillance camera data or CCTV data and are able to tell us at a more granular level at our multi-story buildings how people are utilizing our spaces, right? And then Guesst, they tap into our tenants' POS systems and are able to give us real-time sales data from our tenants and transaction data. And so having all of this data has been very significant for us at Jamestown and has helped us in so many different ways. But like I said earlier, threading this data together is really crucial and being able to analyze it. And so I proposed to the team here on stage with me if, we could bring all of these data sets together to really unveil conversion rate at our properties. And so we've done that by taking 4 key data points. The first is how many people are walking into our building. The second is how many people are walking by each store, how many people are walking into each store, and then how many people are transacting. And this has really unveiled so much of a deeper level of understanding of what's happening at our properties. And we really think that this helps 3 key business areas of our business, right? So this impacts leasing, because from a merchandising perspective, we can really understand which tenants are converting, which ones are high traffic performers, right? And there's a lot of layers to unpack there. Also from a rent perspective, percentage rent deals, having a better understanding of this is really advantageous. And while I'm sure you're thinking this is very advantageous for the landlord, I also really feel strongly, my second point is around tenant support, right? Their success is our success ultimately, and having this data in real time allows us to really identify tenants that need our help and support. And so we can do that much quicker versus in previous models being able to capture sales data a month or two later, right? When things have been going south for a while. And on the other hand, we're also able to see which tenants are doing great and converting really high, and what can we learn from that and share out with other tenants at our properties. And then finally, is around marketing, right? My CMO has been asking me for years about ROI. And so now, like many landlords are doing, we do a ton of activations at our properties. We're able to understand not just how many people come to the building, but how many people are transacting. What is that conversion rate? Are those marketing events really successful at our properties? Are they driving foot traffic, but not sales for certain tenants? So this has really captured so many great insights for us, and we're happy to share more with you today. So I'll turn it back over to Karen.
Thank you, Erica, for the really thorough introduction on why we're here. Just to recap and turn it back to the other panelists, can you just tell us a little bit about what the company does? I'm sure everybody knows about Placer already, and also your specific role with the company as well.
Yeah, definitely. So great to be here. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I'm Ben Witten, lead strategy for the real estate vertical at Placer AI. And in essence, what Placer really does is provide insights into the consumer preferences, right? Behavior patterns, where are folks shopping, where are they spending their time? And ultimately, what I like to say is real estate's a people business, right? Real estate follows people where they want to live, where they want to work, where they want to shop, etc. And so I think what we're doing, probably for the first time ever in this capacity, is combining the data to have the full visibility into the customer journey from, running a campaign, understanding, does that have an impact on property visits, right? If we're hitting it all cylinders on visits to the property, what's happening inside the property? What's happening on multiple levels, right? FIMA can tell, are shoppers going to multiple levels of a property or through the north corridor and the south corridor? And then ultimately, are those consumers purchasing, right? Because that's the obvious, end goal, right? Whether you're the retailer or on the landlord side, it's a partnership and it's a consumer business. And for both sides to succeed, right? The store's got to be open, right? So having the right operating hours, but you got to have clear wayfinding signage. You've got to have, co-tenancy. You've got to have all the things that really make that environment actionable and appealing to the consumer. And so that's where Jay comes in, right? He can tell you transactions, right? Like sales volumes. I mean, you should talk more about that.
Yeah.
But that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Because then now as landlord, right, you can collect your percentage rent on that. As a retailer, it's automated.
Correct. Keep going. No, I'm just kidding. How you doing, guys? I'm Jay Norris. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Guesst software platform. Thank you for coming, first and foremost. Let's give them a round of applause for showing up for us, guys. Thank you for coming. All right. First, before I do this, I like to know who's in the audience. Can property owners raise their hand in the audience? Okay. How about brokers? Any brokers? Oh, wow. Okay. Lenders? No? We got a lender over there. Okay, great. Okay, so guys, I just introduced myself. I'm Jay Norris. That's the who, right? Retailers in the room? Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. I didn't mention you. All right, thanks. All right, too. More than lenders. Okay, good. So now we understand the audience, guys. This is every level set. So essentially, I did the who, and now it's what? What is Guesst? Guesst is a retail sales intelligence platform that Erica and Ben just alluded to. And what we do is we integrate with multiple POS systems. The merchants, retailers, and restaurants, we integrate with their POS systems, and we aggregate and normalize this data, and we share it with our property owners. And people are like, why do you do that? Why would you go about that? And one of the things at Guesst, like I mentioned myself, I used to be a broker. Okay, I was a tenant rep. The rest of our team is property owners. And what I realized as I asked you guys who was in the room, we realized that the retail real estate ecosystem is comprised of four major players: the property owner, the lenders, the brokerage community, and of course the merchant, the retailer or restaurant. And then we said, okay, so what's driving the industry? What's really driving this industry? What's driving the resale asset value? What's driving the lease terms for the deals as a broker, right? And we realized what it was. Consumer insights, those swipes, guys, those purchases is essentially what really drives the consumer spending habits in real time is what's driving all our value in this room. And so we decided if we could integrate with the merchant's view of what they have need to be shared. If we could share this with the other stakeholders, we could all make better qualified decisions with our assets, with our deal flow, and everything else. And so that's the Guesst platform. It's really about adding opportunity, increasing opportunity, which of course increases value at the end of the day. So, thank you.
And FIMA is the wedge in the middle. So we tap into existing security cameras. We don't install any hardware. We also don't install any software. So there's no need to install thousands and thousands of sensors to try and make sense who's in your space. And we're able to understand how many people enter, how many walk past the specific tenant, how many turn in, also look at the demographic split. And we also provide real-time alerts as well. So anything you may miss, we will see, because FIMA replicates and supports human sight. So in the UK, in Europe, where we have a bigger footprint, we will look at things like, is somebody blocking an emergency exit? Is some spillage somewhere that needs to be cleaned up? So there's an additional layer that allows real-time operational support in addition to all of the analytics that we provide as well. So that's who's on the stage today, basically. And then wanted to turn this now back to Erica. So these are some of the data points that we've visualized for you and the conversion. So yeah, Erica, what did you learn? Like what's been the use of actually bringing all of these partners together?
I think the biggest takeaway for us is really the tenant support that I spoke to you about. We've beta tested this, and what we found is that we really are able to be a lot more hands-on with our tenants. So even at a place like Industry City, if you're familiar, we have kiosks there for our food hall. And so even though we might not have tenants that are walking physically into a store, we can also see, how long someone is dwelling in front of one of those kiosks and is looking at the menu, right? And maybe they're looking at the menu for a long time and then they walk away. And so we can start to understand and unveil for our tenants, right, where the pain points are, and really help them and making recommendations. We obviously can't do all of it, do it for them, but we can make the recommendations and partner up with them. And that's really a big part of our ethos when I started at Jamestown. We're very hands-on, as many landlords are. And I think that really kind of goes hand in hand because they're sharing with us, but we also want to share with them and we want to help them. And the other thing I want to make note of too, because you're probably all thinking about this, is around privacy, and everything is, compliant and anonymized. So it's not, we're very, very, we're very honed in on that and making sure that everybody is compliant and covers that piece of it. So, I'd say the tenant support has been great, and yeah.
Ben, can you share, just from any of the other customers that you worked with, any transformational outcomes when you've gone in as placer, or any anecdotes that have kind of popped up?
Yeah, I mean, there's several that come to mind. I think, just speaking to the data we're looking at, the slide here and this conversion dashboard, there's a few different aspects of it. And I think of it as a diagnostic to understand, if retail sales are down, why is that, right? Is it because, internal traffic is down? Is it because people are coming in, but they're not purchasing? Is it a lack of the correct or relevant merchandise? Is it that total visits are down at the property and they're going to a competitor, right? So Placer allows the user to be able to see, okay, maybe they're not going to Pond City, but they're going to Buckhead more frequently, or they're going to somewhere else in the market. And so being able to diagnose to then say, okay, how do we treat the problem? And so a concrete example of that is we have an owner operator client that had a grocery anchored center, and one of the top voids and users that really wanted to be in the market was a fitness user. And the grocer had a restricted use clause for fitness, right? Obviously they were worried about their parking being monopolized, their customer not being able to get into the grocery store. What they were able to prove using Placer data based on hourly visits was that the visit pattern was actually counter-cyclical. So that fitness user had another location in the market, and what they proved was that the grocery had certain peak times and the fitness use had opposite peak times. And by using that data, they were able to arrive at a healthy compromise of what that would look like operationally, right? So that's one example. But even to that point of maybe the center's not hitting on all cylinders, or maybe the tenant's not hitting on all cylinders, that then allows you to take action and say, if I'm losing visit share to competitors, how do I act on that, right? What zip codes or block groups are visitors coming from to my competitor that they're not coming to my property? Because then I can take action to geo-target and really reach out to and campaign to those areas to drive visits.
If you don't mind me adding here, I think one of the biggest takeaways too of just to add on to what you said, Ben, is I think what's great about all three of these partners is that pulling this together really helps us unveil conversion. But what's great about what Ben said is that we can dive deeper with each of these partners. So whether that's, looking at zip codes, or with Guesst, we're able to look at category analysis, right? And understanding which categories are performing, because we can tag all the tenants and understand and analyze, like, is there a trend happening in real time? Another great example for us too around the hourly piece is around lunch traffic, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday at Placer, but it's very relevant, with return to office, and our restaurant tenants might not be seeing the lift that they see at lunchtime, but this data can help us really peel the layers back to understand when are they driving most traffic, and is that really not at lunchtime? Is it really at dinner time? And maybe that flexes between different tenant types, right? We were talking about fast casual versus restaurant. So I think that's really valuable insights as well.
I would just add, from my experience on the owner side, especially coming out of the pandemic, there was always, dispute over operating hours. And do I really need to be open on Sunday evenings? Do I really need to be open Tuesday mornings, right? And so what this data allows you to see is actually your customer is there, your doors are not open, and therefore you're not transacting, and you're asking for rent relief, but in reality, right, if you were, you're not open.